How's it going, guys? Today we're going to be making a farm in the bungalow. This is going to be using coke, so this is like a bit of an end game step over here. By this point, you're probably already in the barn setup, but you might be wanting to run something in your bungalow since it does have a 5-employee cap. You can still make some sort of product and get like some extra stuff out of it. In this case, we're going to be running 1 botanist, 2 handlers, and 2 chemists. Right now, they're actually busy working, so you'll see how this works in the process as I'm showing you how to build this layout. Of course, you're going to need coke unlocked in order to do this. Now, immediately as you go inside here, you should see I've got a floor lamp on the right-hand side, and on the left, we have 2 large storage racks in this corner. Then you've got moisture-preserving pots. You can use the air pots if you want, 4 of them with 4 drying racks so that you can get to high quality. I prefer the moisture-preserving ones personally. We're only using 1 cauldron in this case, so it doesn't really matter because you're going to be overstocking this thing with leaves over time, as you can see. So either setup is fine. Both of them will fit in here. You have a ton of space. Right now, with the way it's set up, you can see here we have 5 pots against the wall like that, pretty much all lined up with each other with suspension racks over them and the full spectrum grow lights on top of them. And then you'll see here on every alternate one, we have a pot sticking out. So 1, 2, and then 3. And you can still use the sliding door. I love builds with the bungalow where you can actually leave through the sliding door, because so many builds actually kind of like block this doorway out and kind of just makes it feel useless. You'll see we have 2 beds over here. This is placed very specifically in this location because we're not really using this area. Same with the next room. We have a bunch of beds there. But before I get to that, you'll see we have a bed placed like this right up against this wall. We're actually losing this doorway. Well, for the employees, you can still kind of crouch and go through if you really want to. Not necessary though. So 2 beds there. A medium-sized storage rack placed just in front of the bed over here against the wall. This is going to hold gasoline. We don't need too much gasoline. The gasoline is going to be used in the cauldron over here, which goes down really slowly since it's going to be 20 leaves for 1 gasoline tub. That means you're going to have to go through 400 coca leaves before you finish a stack of gasoline. So you're not going to be restocking this often. Moving on to the next room, you'll see here we have the final product that gets stacked into here. We already have a few bricks. This is a product called Banana McLovin. This is a 6-stage mixing process. Unfortunately, being the bungalow, we don't have too many employees, so we can't push 8 mixes. So in this case, we're instead making, well, 6 mixes, which is not too bad. So to show you the value of this product, we can go here. Now, base coke, as you already know, sells for $150 per unit. Whereas Banana McLovin is going to sell for $495 per unit. And if we use that special rule that you can actually sell to customers at a 1.6 multiplier, you can actually sell this for $792. So pretty much customers will still buy it at this price for $792. So it's still a very good profit, and it's something that's going to run really like smoothly and, just come back here over a couple of days to collect product from the bungalow. It's not something that you're going to have to be very active in. But also keep in mind, it's going to be a bit of a slower factory. So we've got our final product stored in over here with a floor lamp over here. This is for lighting. We've got 2 beds placed in this corner next to each other, another floor lamp in that corner with a large storage rack. This is for your own use. You don't have to put this here. This is if you want to store anything like your skateboard and stuff while you fetch resources from the gas mart or something like that. I use this to store stuff. We have another bed over here, a floor lamp for some light, a storage rack. This is also for your own use. Use it as you will, store anything that you need. And then there's a final bed over here. Doesn't have to be placed. This one's actually for you to sleep in. But if you don't want it, you can actually just pick it up and, sleep somewhere else if you have a different base. And you'll see here on this wall next to the bed, we have a floor lamp for light, and then the brick press where the final product is bricked and then put into the storage. Then we have the final room that is our mixing room. It also is our lab oven room. So you'll see as soon as we go in here, we have a light on the right, pushing me out of the way. Thanks, bitch. In the final room, we have our lab oven as well as our 6 mixing stations. So along the walls, we have large storage racks. So 1, 2, 3 with a mixing station in front of it. And then on this side, we have the exact same thing. 1 storage rack, 2 storage rack, 3 storage rack with our machines like that, our mixing stations like this. We have 2 medium storage racks over here. The reason why there is a gap between here, essentially employees can walk through the lights and they can walk through that like 1 gap slot. So we leave this open so in case the employee needs to walk through there, which is something they're going to do. So we're going to have 2 medium storage shelves over here. This is essentially for product that comes from the The Cauldron is going to go into 1. The handler is going to then stack it into the oven. The oven's going to cook, and the chemist is going to place the end product base coke into here, where another handler will grab it and take it to the brick press. The reason why it's done like that is if there is like an making of product, it's going to allow this to store the extras so that it doesn't slow down the process. Now, the way this mixing process works is the first machine is on the left-hand side. As you know, with all my builds, I always sort left to right, so you can never forget. On the left, we have motor oil as our first recipe. Then we have Coke as our second one. Then we have paracetamol as our third one. It then moves over to that machine on that side. That's why there's a gap over here, so the handler can, or the chemist actually is going to take it and walk through there to that side instead of walking along the long way. They're going to then mix gasoline, Coke, and the final product, battery, in here. If you're going to struggle with the recipe, I recommend putting down a storage rack. A medium one will be fine to kind of keep the recipe in mind. It's always going to be motor oil, Coke, paracetamol, gasoline, Coke, and battery. That's the order that you have to follow to get the banana McLovin mix. But of course, the name is going to be random, but the effects and the price will still be the same. All right, so let's talk about how much it's going to cost to make this setup in the bungalow. So starting with our employees, we of course have 2 handlers going to be costing us $400 a day. 1 botanist going to cost us $200 a day, and 2 chemists costing us $600 a day. So in total, we're going to be spending $1,200 per day in order to pay our employees. Then if we speak to Manny and we look at the hiring fee, a botanist signing fee is going to cost us $1,500. Our handler signing fee is also going to cost $1,500, so $3,000 for the 2 of them. And for our 2 chemists, it's going to be $2,000 for each signing fee, so $4,000 for both of them. In total, you're looking at $8,500 to hire the employees. Making our way to Oscar over here to get some of our machines. To get started, you're going to need 20 gasoline, so this is going to be $100 for your Cauldron. I'm going to be using 8 moisture preserving pots, but you can also go with air pots if you desire with drying racks. It's also a system that works if you checked out my previous video where we tested the difference between these two. In this case, we're also going to need 8 suspension racks and 8 full spectrum grow lights. Just like so, that's going to cost us $400, $320, and $1,600 respectively. You're then going to need yourself 6 beds. 1 is for you, $900 for all of them. 1 brick press for $800. And then you're going to need 6 mixing stations, which is going to cost you $12,000, 1 lab oven for $1,000, and a cauldron for $3,000. In total, it's going to cost you $20,120 to buy all of this to set it up. If we make our way to the hardware store, you're going to see what we can purchase over here. Now we're going to be buying extra long life soil. I recommend buying 40 of this so that you can have enough. This is going to cost you $2,400. You're then going to buy yourself 60 fertilizer, which is going to cost you $1,800. You're going to need 3 medium storage shelves, which is going to cost you $135. And you're going to need 11 large storage racks, which is going to cost you $660. Now, because we can't hire a cleaner, you're also probably going to need to buy yourself a trash grabber and some trash bags to pick up the trash that the botanist is going to make over time. So overall, this is going to cost you $5,035. Now, because we're making Coke, we're going to have to speak with our dealer, Salvador Moreno, and you'll ask him for an order of a dead drop. This is because it's going to be cheaper over here. He's going to sell them for $80 a seed. Unfortunately, you can only buy 10 at a time. For 10 of them, it is going to cost you $800. And you'll need to purchase this at least 6 times so that you can stock up fully. Alternatively, if you have money to spend, you can also ask him to meet up. And if you make your way to the mayor's house, for example, over here, you can meet up with him and you'll see he's going to then charge you $150 per seed. So if you had to buy 60 over here, you're going to be paying $9,000, which would be cheaper if you're just buying 10 at a time through a dead drop. It's just really important when you stock your supply chest for the botanist that you have even amounts of coca seeds to fertilizer. So it's going to look like this. Basically 30 coca seeds, 20 long life, extra long life soil, and then 30 fertilizer. So just like that, so that it's always even. Now for our mixing stations, you're going to make your way to the gas mart over here, or any gas mart. Now our 6-stage mixing process is going to make use of motor oil, 2 cokes, 1 paracetamol, 1 gasoline, 1 battery. So for one product, it's going to cost you $26 per each and individual product. But do keep in mind, it's going to make your products go from $150 value to $742 essentially. So $26 is not a big expense to increase your profit by actual hundreds of dollars. You're going to have to buy 160 motor oil, 320 Coke, 160 paracetamol, 160 gasoline, and lastly 160 battery. In total, this is going to cost you $4,160 to make a full 160 products for a full cook. All right, so now it's time to assign your 5 employees to their respective tasks. We'll start off with the beginning of the process with the botanist. You're going to assign them a bed, assign them a supplies cabinet, which is going to be the one closest to the pots over here on the left-hand side. So this one. Then drying racks and pots, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If you're using air pots, you'll use 4 air pots and 4 drying racks, with each pot going to each individual drying rack, with them running into the cauldron. At this point, you can hit escape or enter to be done. The botanist is assigned, and you'll just actually assign the pots now too, which we're going to do. So assign the pots by holding shift and selecting all of them. Just makes your life a little bit easier. Once you have all 8 of them selected, hit E to manage. Hit the seed that you want them to make. It's going to be coca seed or whichever seed they have in their supply cabinet. For the additive, you have to make them select fertilizer. This is going to make the product high quality, which means you can sell it to pretty much any customer in the game and nobody's going to complain. For a destination, you'll hit this and you'll send all of them to the cauldron. So they're all going to make their way to the cauldron, which is going to stack you with a bunch of leaves over time. Now, before we touch the cauldron and stuff, let's go ahead and assign the chemist. So we're going to go ahead, assign the first chemist, assign them a bed. Their stations, this one is going to be using the cauldron and then not the lab oven. They're actually going to go jumping straight to the mixing stations. And I'm going to alternate this so that they're working on this mixing station, and this one. So the middle one on the left and the end ones on the right. This alternates them so that the other chemist can work on this one, that one, and the one in the middle there. I did a test in another video where this was actually a little bit quicker than assigning them to just 3 on the left. So that's why I have this set up. Hit escape or enter to be done. That's them done. And you can go ahead to the next chemist and you're going to assign this one to the lab oven, which is in that room with the mixers. So right over here, this one, and then it's also going to be working on this mixing station, that mixing station, and the final mixing station over there. So 2 on the left on the ends, the lab oven in the middle, and the mixing station on the middle on the right hand side. Hit escape or enter to be done. And then that setup entirely done. We're going to actually go ahead and assign the cauldron and the lab ovens and the mixing stations now. So with the clipboard out, you're going to manage the cauldron. You're going to hit the destination. This one is going to be sent to a storage rack. So in this room here, we're using this storage rack behind the lab oven. So right over here, this one. Then you're going to go ahead and assign the lab oven to send its product, right, its destination, to this storage rack. So pretty much the base product is going to go into that storage rack, which our handler is going to put into the lab oven. And then once the lab oven is done, the chemist is going to put the final coat product into this storage rack where our handler will grab it and take it to the brick press. The reason I've done this is that if you ever have extra base products or stuff that you want to cook, or you have more coke from another factory, you can actually just dump it in here so that it can cycle through the mixing process so that you can have it working a bit more. All right, so before we do the handlers, let's go ahead and assign the brick press as well. So we're going to assign the brick press, assign its destination to this storage rack over here. So this is where the bricks are going to be stacked once they're made. Now we're going to go ahead and assign the handlers. We're going to go ahead and assign the first handler. So assign them. Their station is going to be the brick press. They're going to work on bricking the product. Their routes, they're going to pretty much take from the second rack over here next to the supply rack for the botanist. They're going to grab from here and they're going to refill this one as the botanist finishes it up so that it pretty much keeps leaves in constant growing. Then he's also going to go ahead and grab from the gasoline one and fill the cauldron. That's his job. We're also going to have him grab another route. So from here, he's going to grab from this one where the base product is put from the cauldron. He's going to grab from here and he's going to actually put it into the lab oven. So into the lab oven. And then he's also going to grab from here, which he's going to grab from the end product where the lab oven comes out into here. He's going to grab from this storage rack and he's going to take it to the brick press where he is going to be the one bricking the product. We're also going to give him a final route where he's going to pretty much start stocking the mixing process over here, right? We're actually going to have him work on the batteries. He's going to take the batteries and put the batteries into the battery mixing station. Just like that, which means the final handler will be stuck on just stocking the mixing station. So this handler 0 stations, but they are going to have 5 routes taking from here. And then in our mixing room on the left-hand side, they're going to grab from the motor oil shelf and they're going to fill the mixing station in front of it. And then they're going to grab from the Coke shelf, fill the Coke mixing station. Then the paracetamol, fill the paracetamol. Then they're going to go ahead and grab from the gasoline and they're going to fill up the mixing station for the gasoline. Then last one is the Coke one here into the Coke mixing station. And that is pretty much their entire job. And that's all of their jobs. We can go ahead and pay them and they will begin working as normal. I recommend paying them for a bunch of days. This is so that when you come back here in like a week's time, you can pretty much restock everything and collect the bricks that you need to go ahead and sell at dealers or whatnot. Now, to give you reference, a single brick, 1 brick of this product sold at $792 per piece is going to sell for $15,840. And with 160 of the mixing products, you're going to be getting yourself 8 bricks. That means every time this factory is complete with its like process and it's made all the product, you're going to be able to sell all of those 8 bricks for $126,760. Easy profit, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed and thanks for watching. Peace.